On a cold Tuesday evening in Chicago, when the streets looked tired and the sky felt heavier than usual, Daniel Carter tied his apron for another double shift at Riverside Grill. The restaurant sat near the river, popular with office workers and tourists, but behind the warm lights and polished tables, life wasn't nearly as comfortable for Daniel. At 31, he was a waiter with aching feet, overdue bills, and a dream he kept folded away like an old receipt. Easy to lose, impossible to throw out. Daniel had once wanted to be a teacher. He believed in people, believed words could change lives. But student loans, his mother's medical bills, and the sudden responsibility of raising his younger sister after their father passed had pushed that dream far into the background. Waiting tables wasn't his plan, it was survival. Every night he smiled through exhaustion, balancing plates while silently calculating tips against rent. That evening, the hostess pointed to table 12 near the window. "You've got that one," she said. Daniel nodded, unaware that this table would quietly rewrite his destiny. The first guests arrived just after 7. A middle-aged couple, calm and well-dressed, with the kind of presence that made the room feel steadier. The man had silver hair and kind eyes. The woman carried herself with quiet confidence. Daniel greeted them with his usual polite smile, reciting the specials like muscle memory. They really listened, which was rare. Most guests were already halfway into their phones. As Daniel poured water, the man asked, "Long shift?" Daniel hesitated, then nodded. "Double. But I'm used to it." The woman smiled softly. "You're doing great. Take your time." Those words shouldn't have mattered, but they did. As the night moved on, the restaurant grew busy. Orders piled up. A cook snapped at him. Another table complained about their steak. Daniel felt the familiar pressure tightening his chest. He handled it all like he always did, moving fast, apologizing when needed, swallowing frustration. When he returned to table 12 with their meals, the man noticed his tired eyes. "You ever think about doing something else?" he asked gently. Daniel let out a small laugh. "All the time. But thinking and doing aren't the same." The man nodded, as if he understood far more than he said. Later, while clearing plates, the woman asked, "What would you do if money wasn't a problem?" The question hit harder than Daniel expected. He paused, holding a plate, then answered honestly, "I teach. History, probably. I like helping people see where they come from." Something changed at the table. Not dramatic, just a look between the couple, a quiet understanding. They finished dessert and asked for the check. Daniel thanked them and wished them a good night. As they stood to leave, the man shook Daniel's hand. "You matter more than you think," he said. After they left, Daniel returned to clean the table. That's when he saw it. The check presenter felt heavier than usual. Inside was a tip that made his breath catch, $500. Daniel looked around, confused, almost embarrassed. Surely it was a mistake. He hurried toward the door, but they were already gone. That tip paid for groceries that week. It covered part of the electric bill. But more than that, it stayed with him. Not the money, the moment. The questions. The way they had seen him. Days turned into weeks. Daniel kept working. Life didn't magically change. But something inside him had shifted. He started reading again at night. He helped his sister with homework, explaining lessons with the same passion he once imagined using in a classroom. One afternoon, a letter arrived in the mail. No return address at first glance. Inside was a handwritten note. "Daniel, we met you at Riverside Grill. You reminded us of ourselves, tired, hopeful, and capable of more. Enclosed is something we hope will help. Don't feel obligated. Just don't give up." There was a check. Enough to cover one semester at community college. Daniel sat at the kitchen table for a long time, hands shaking. He cried quietly so his sister wouldn't hear. No one had ever invested in him like this before. No one outside his family had said, "Your future matters." The next months were brutal. Daniel worked nights and attended classes during the day. He slept little. He questioned himself constantly. There were moments he nearly quit, when his sister got sick, when a test went badly, when exhaustion felt endless. But then he'd remember table 12. He'd remember the man's steady voice, the woman's gentle smile, and that single sentence. "You matter more than you think." Years passed. Daniel graduated. He transferred. He finished his degree. On the day he stood in front of his first classroom, students talking, laughing, waiting, his heart pounded harder than it ever had during a dinner rush. He began his lesson with a story, not about history but about kindness, about how one moment, one conversation, one table in a restaurant can change a life. Every year, Daniel returned to Riverside Grill, sometimes to eat, sometimes just to sit by the window. He never saw the couple again. But he didn't need to, because now he was the one asking questions, encouraging students, seeing potential where others saw limits.